Good evening, everybody. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Shovik Khoshodri. I'm the youth advisor of the FHVI, and I'll be your host this evening. I'd firstly like to extend our warm welcome to our friends at FIVA, patrons and general committee of the FHVI, and historic vehicle enthusiasts from all across India and the world. So today is it gives me great pleasure to be a part of this historic event, as this is the first time and India is the first country to organize a webinar with the FIVA General Council. And in a sense, what FHVI is doing is bridging the gap between FIVA and the historic vehicle enthusiast community in India. This is also the first time that FHVI will be addressing the nation as the ANF. So the objective of today's seminar.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks.
There's some disturbance. One second. So the objective of today's seminar is very simple. We wanted to create a platform, FHVI. We wanted to create a platform where FIVA could speak to the whole country and address a lot of issues and queries that people had regarding owning historic vehicles. And that's why we've come across and we put together this webinar. So on a personal note, I'd like to thank everyone at FIVA for taking a decision and getting much needed clarity for historic vehicle owners in India by appointing FHVI as its ANF. So with that said, I'd like to welcome Dr. Ravi Prakash, President of FHVI, to take this webinar forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Shovik. Good afternoon, friends of FIVA from across Europe, and good evening, friends from India, and also friends from Sri Lanka. In fact, we have also invited friends across Sri Lanka because they are our neighboring country and they've been part and parcel of all our events and movements. So we have Ramani, the president of Ceylon Classic Car Club, and who also is the ANF of Sri Lanka. The team of about 5 friends are also from Sri Lanka with us. And friends, I would like to introduce friends from FIVA. Mr. Tiddo Bresters is the president of FIVA. He took charge last November, and that was the general committee meeting held at Cyprus. And he hails from Netherlands, and he has come to India twice before. The first time he came is in March 2019 for the general committee meeting in Bangalore with his lovely wife Mariana, and last time in February he was here in Delhi and Mumbai to see what's happening and what's going on with the historic vehicle movement in India. And he's been also the vice president of the legislative committee in FIVA for 9 long years. And he's done a marvelous job putting legislation in order in FIVA. Thank you, Mr. Tiddo Bresters, for joining us. And we have Mr. Patrick Roulet, the past president, the former president of FIVA, and I would say a friend of India because he's traveled India quite a few times, and he's come to Bangalore twice. He came for one of our events with his lovely wife, Julie, and he also came for the general committee meeting held at Bangalore. And he's traveled literally in and out of India. He's been to Delhi, Mumbai, Hyderabad, all the major cities in India. Mr. Patrick knows very well, and he's been at the helm of affairs with FIVA for 6 long years, and he's given a new dimension to FIVA globally. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Patrick. I would also like to introduce Mr. Mario Jason. He's the Vice President, Business Development and Professional Membership. He was also here last March in Bangalore, a dear friend of the FHVI, and He's been guiding us all along. Thank you, Mario, for being with us. Mr. Gautam Sen, friend of India, member of Karnataka Vintage and Classic Car Club, and also the Vice President Communication at the FIVA. He happens to live in Paris. His body is in Paris, but his mind and heart in India. Thank you, Gautam, for being with us today. Mr. Paul has not joined in yet. Mr. Yos is here. He is the Vice President Finance. He's also a friend of the Federation, and he's with a beautiful car background. He's the only person who's able to sit out. He's made himself to sit out to give us this beautiful picturesque view of his car. Thank you, Yos, for joining us. I know you have missed coming out to India, but we are happy at least we are here. You are here today on the webinar. And we have Mr. Malcolm Grubb, who's in charge of events. He's also the Vice President of FIVA. Thank you, Mr. Malcolm, for joining us today. And he's not coming to India earlier. We look forward to seeing you all soon in India. And thank you for joining us for this webinar. And Natasha, who's in charge of youth, she was not able to join. She had another webinar on the museums. And Jean Mario, who's the General Secretary, apparently he's on the road and he will try and hook up with us at the later part of the seminar. I would also like to thank the Sri Lankan team headed by Ramani to join us. Is there any way, Shovik, you can get them to show us? Shovik, are you there?
Yes, Doc.
Yeah, is there any way that Ramani can come on the panelists, because she's also going to address us later?
Yes,
yeah. Ramani, Aski,
Okay.
Ramani, hi.
Hi, Doc. Hi. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, she's the president of the Ceylon Classic Car Club. She's also the ANF of Sri Lanka. Very dynamic president for quite a few years, and she's been a friend of India in promoting our historic vehicle movement in India. Thank you, Ramani, for joining us with your colleagues, Aski,
Thank you for having us.
Clyde De Silva, Senior and Junior, and Priyanka. Also, I would like to thank all my colleagues from FHVI, the Vice Presidents, Mr. Arun Upadhyay, Mr. Guhan, Partha Sadan Bose, Tarun Takral, and also my General Secretary, our General Secretary, Mr. Vikram Singh, and our secretaries, Amulya Danukar, Pallab Roy, Rajesh Malhotra, Sandeep Katari. They are all in on today. We also have our treasurer, Mr. SVS Gupta, who's the man who's handling all the monies and getting all the monies for the Federation. Mr. Gupta, thank you for joining us. Also our advisors, Mr. Anand, Mr. Balraj Vasudevan, who is also the president of the Madras Heritage Club, Mr. Harit Trivedi, who is also another historian and a great friend. And everybody knows Harit, and Harit was also there in France for the Retromobile. Mr. Prithvinath Tagore, Ram Prasad, Rupali, Shovik, Mr. Suleiman Jamal, Mr. Sunil George from Kerala, and Mr. Tutu Dhawan, another great restorer from Delhi. They're all there. And we also have Mr. Harshvardhan Singh Ji, the Maharaj of Dungarpur, Mr. Pradyum Singh Oil, Mr. Vicky Chando, who's an eminent racer, the president of the Madras Racing Club fraternity. He was also the FMCA member earlier. He's also with us today. I welcome you all, friends, for joining us. And I would like to mention here the youth team who has put everything together. Shovik, Prithvinath Tagore, Sanjay, Rupali, and Jayant. I thank all these youngsters to put this webinar today, and we are happy that youth is coming forward. I would like to go back into a little bit of FHVI. We all started in 2013 at the Retromobile on invitation from Gautam Sen. Gautam Sen organized a little show of all the Maharaja cars, And I happened to take my cars there with also another colleague of mine from India, Harit Trivedi. That was the time Gautam, played a vital role for bringing in the Karnataka Vintage and Classic Car Club, where I was the secretary those days. And he introduced us for the very first time, Mr. Patrick. And Patrick and we met at a stand, and that is when our, love towards FIVA started. I would put it that way. Why I would say love, I will come back later. Patrick initiated and he guided us. And I would like to thank, at that point in time, my president of the Karnataka Vintage and Classic Car Club, Mr. Suleiman Jaman, the treasurer of the KVCCC, Mr. Subramani, and also our member, Mr. Subaya, who did all the paperwork, and we were able to do literally run around, put everything together, and we presented at the General Assembly. And our membership was accepted, and Patrick took it forward, and then the KVCC became the member of the FIVA. It was the second club after the VCCI, KVCC became the member, and we followed on. And it was in 2017 when Patrick visited India at Hyderabad, the Cartier Concourse. He said, Doc, it is time that you start a federation because India is a huge country. We can't have regional clubs representing FIVA. We need a unified organization. That is when we started working, and Gautam was a great help. And we put everything together in Hyderabad. And with Patrick's initiation, everything, we had literally have to run around the entire country getting all the signatures put. And finally, we registered in 2017. The federation came into life. And then we applied at the, I think, Krakow General Assembly. But the membership was accepted only during February 2018 at the General Council. And later we had this 2-year of waiting period for us to get to where we are today. So I would like to thank from bottom of my heart on behalf of all my colleagues of Federation of Historic Vehicles of India, and also all the members, the Indian Historic Collectors. I would like to thank FIVA under the leadership of Mr. Tiddo Bresters and the Governing Council, who made a decision at the right time and got us going. The only thing is that we are all stuck with the pandemic of Corona, COVID-19. We are not able to move out, but nevertheless, we have systems where we can all meet, where we can all talk, where we can all approach. But I could only say that whatever faith and trust that you have reposed on the FHVI, we will stand by it. We'll work hard to get each and every historic collector, historic organization in India under one roof, and we'll prove worthy of the FIVA motto of preservation, protection, and restoration. We promise that we will all, my team, entire team, vouch by me that we will all work hard to be a good ANF and a worthy ANF and a worthy member of FIVA. I would like to place my thanks to Tiddo Bresters and his team, and also Mr. Patrick for taking us and bringing us where we are today. And we also look forward that everything will settle down in time, even the COVID-19 problem across the globe, so that whatever that we have planned of having the General Assembly this time, and also the following year in India, I hope everything falls into place and we will be able to host and prove FIVA that FHVI has done a great job. Thank you very much. And I request now Mr. Tiddo Bresters to address us. Mr. Tiddo Bresters.
Thank you, Doc, and I hope you hear me all loud and clearly. Yes, good afternoon, everybody. Dr. Prakash, other friends from the Federation of Historic Vehicles of India, and of course, all people that take part in this webinar and are watching this via social media, wherever you are and whatever club or federation you are a member of. And of course, I also welcome very much the representative of Ceylon, Sri Lanka, of course, Ramani. So my congratulations go to you and your team, Dr. Prakash, for organizing this webinar. As far as I know, this is the first ever webinar organized by a FIVA member. You all are writing history. I live in the Netherlands. A famous expression in Dutch is, every disadvantage has also advantages. And there's plenty of disadvantage now. Because of Corona, we don't have any events. This weekend, I would have been in Italy for attending the start of the Mille Miglia. And this week, exactly 75 years after liberation, so the end of World War II, I would have loved to see the many historic military vehicles, Willys, Jeeps, GMC trucks, and much more that usually these days in May are rolling through Dutch towns and villages, which is a real rolling museum. But the advantage is, instead, we have now this webinar, entering a new era in FIVA history. I'm sure I don't have to tell you too much about FIVA. All know about FIVA, and maybe even a little bit more now, since recent publications in India, media, after we decided to appoint FHVI as our ANF in India. I'd like to tell you now a little bit about FIVA in a nutshell, and also about the task of the FIVA ANF, which is now FHVI. Since a couple of years, our motto is for FIVA, the famous 3 Ps we have. Protecting, preserving, and promoting. And these are not just 3 words, they really express what FIVA stands for. Since a couple of years now, we use this, and now I'm in charge of FIVA as president. I think I even better understand what it stands for. Protection. There's nowhere in the world any government with a minister of historic vehicles, regrettably. Somebody else has to tell and remember governments that we exist, we the millions of historic vehicle enthusiasts. It's a passion that's not limited to the owners, it's much broader. So in each country there's a need for a strong organization capable to represent the interests of all the enthusiasts at ministries of transport, environment and culture. And also, for instance, with customs, with other authorities. That's the role of the ANF. The second P is for preservation. The historic vehicle isn't just an old vehicle that has stood the test of time. It's kept for preservation as a showpiece of its time and its origins. What better can express the special character of the vehicle than a passport, the FIVA ID card? The ANF is entitled to issue these ID cards, but it's much more than a right. It's also a duty, an activity the ANF actively promotes and carries out. The last P is for promotion. Events are good for promotion, indeed. In a May weekend like this, all over the world, let's say 1,001 events would have been organized. And only a few of them by FIVA ANFs, the other 99% by clubs or by professional organizers. The organization of events I do not see as a goal as such of a FIVA ANF. Of course, the Federation should promote and support events. And of course, it's great when it organizes events itself. But it shouldn't be the only activity. Protection, so lobbying and preservation, so FIVA ID cards are as important, if not more important. And when others organize prestigious events, do not compete with them, but cooperate and help to make their events more inclusive. So an attraction in the spirit of the moving museum we like to present to society. We are happy the ANF question of India now has been decided. And we congratulate FHVI with having won our support by showing commitment, enthusiasm, and energetic, innovative actions and plans. But let it be clear, the ANF status isn't an award for what has been done in the past. It is a challenging, responsible future task that needs to be carried out in the interest of the historic vehicle community as a whole. And to VCFI, I say, any organization that isn't an ANF isn't a loser. All should profit now from the efforts for unity by the ANF. And this actually was my introduction, and I look forward to have a challenging discussion and of course also interesting and challenging questions. Thank you very much, and I give the mic back to the moderator. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Tiddo Brester. Thank you very much for your provoking thoughts, and then we will definitely abide by what you have said. we will take everybody together, including the VCCFI. I would request Mr. Patrick Roulet to say a few words on, as you've been a friend of India, friend of KVCC, and friend of FHVI. Mr. Patrick Roulet. Shovik, can you get Patrick on the screen?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Doc, to have us all virtually together. And thank you, Tiddo, for your introduction. Well, indeed, India is quite special for me. When you think of it, there are several reasons. One is that it's more than a country, it's a subcontinent. And it has a very interesting and rich heritage concerning not only cars, but also utilitarian vehicles and motorbikes. It's very rich on all these aspects, and it's not that frequent in the world to have a country producing all these elements of heritage. I don't want to go through the old relationship I had with Indian club leaders and many important people, starting with Doc, because Doc yourself, you reminded us of how it started around Gautam in Retromobile. But what struck me is also the care that FHVI, as soon as it was created, took in having young people and women to join the movement. I think we have in most countries a problem with the rejuvenation of the movement, and I think you're doing it right at FHVA. And I would like to, oh hello Paul, I would like to thank here the work done by Sabina and by Ravi Prakash. Both of them, I think, are doing a great job. Also, a great souvenir where India was particularly present was the 50th anniversary of FIVA. It was in Paris, which was logical. That's where it was started in 1966. And we had a very strong presence of FHVI, which actually was at the time probably just the club of Karnataka. But there was an important, it was an important year. It was the 50th of FIVA. And it was when we signed a partnership agreement with UNESCO. We had an important exhibit in the head office of UNESCO, in the central yard of that organization. And this exhibit was a great success. And I'm sure Gautam remembers this catalog, which was issued then. And amongst the 15 historic vehicles which were there, we had Doc's Rolls Royce. I'm sure you remember that good souvenir. And on the Sunday, on a terrible freezing day and wet and cold, we had what we call the Tour de Paris, which started in a very difficult way for some members of the FHVI, including Rupali, who got lost on the peripheric in Paris without light in pitch darkness. And Doc, I think you, well, got a little bit lost, and I didn't enough petrol to do the whole tour. Anyway, those are great souvenirs. It's just illustrations of the commitment, the involvement of India, but also of FHVI, and I'm very happy that you joined as ANF. Thank you very much, and Doc, it's back to you.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you. Thanks for taking back in memory lane and of what that was all done in Paris. We loved it. At the end of the day, it was a great experience. You know, historic vehicle and meeting people across the world. Every time you meet, every car that you see, itself is a great experience. Thank you very much. Thanks for being a great friend of Federation. Thanks for being a great friend of India. I request now, Shovik, can we have that short video of FIVA so that everybody can see FIVA on the video, which was curated by Gautam Sen. Shovik?
Yes, Doc, we're on it. Just 2 minutes.
you, Shovik. Thank you very much. That was FIVA movie, which also evolved like old times, you know, from silent movie to the sound movie. That was nice, and I think it was curated by Gautam. Good job. Now, before we go to all our friends of FIVA to address us, We have a friend, Ramani from Sri Lanka. She's got another webinar. I would request Ramani to say a few words and then we can go on to the FIVA. Ramani, shall we get Ramani on the line? Ramani,
Okay.
could you say a few words?
Yes, very good evening and warm greetings to the President of FIVA, Mr. Tiddo Bresters, past President Patrick Rollet, and other committee members of FIVA. We are very happy to be amongst our friends from FHVI today, and thank you, Dr. Ravi, for inviting us to join you all. We are 5 participants from Classic Car Club of Ceylon, as you introduced us, Clyde Senior and Junior, Priyanka, Shalika, Azgi, and myself. Importantly, I would like to say that my husband and myself met up with Dr. Ravi, Sabina, Rupali, Suleiman, Christine, Subramani at the FIVA General Assembly for the very first time in Paris. They have been great friends to us and to the club. And it was a historic day, historic meeting at the FIVA General Assembly in Paris, because we all shared our interests, and it was a great event to actually meet up at. Therefore, it is my great pleasure to congratulate FIVA in appointing FHVI as the ASN in India. And we convey our very best wishes to Dr. Ravi Prakash and his committee and the committee of FHVI and all you members, who I'm sure will keep the FIVA flag flying very high. FHVI members have already participated in 2 events in Sri Lanka, 2 historic drives. It was great having them. They drove our vehicles and we went on a run with them through some scenic routes. And it was our great pleasure as well for 20 Sri Lankans to actually visit India at the invitation of Dr. Ravi and family and FHVI, and we actually participated in their drive from Bangalore to Mysore twice, and we enjoyed great hospitality from FHVI, and we are really looking forward to doing more events together, regional events. Classic Car Club of Sri Lanka is looking forward to continuing this, and Classic Car Club of Ceylon, is looking forward to continuing this, and we look forward to visiting you all and for more and more members of your club to join us as well. Thank you, and I would like to close by telling everyone over there, all participants, to stay safe and be healthy, and we look forward to meeting all of you as soon as possible. Bye.
Thank you, Ramani. Thank you. Thank you very much, Ramani. May I request Mr. Mario Thiessen, Vice President, Business Development, Professional Membership of FIVA, to address us. Mr. Mario.
Well, I hope you all can hear me. Ravi, thank you very much for inviting me to this inaugural webinar, and welcome everybody in India and neighboring countries. I was very pleased to hear that Vicky Chentok is attending, who I met in my Formula One days. Hi, Vicky. And congrats to all of FHVI as the new FIVA ANF in India. I'd like to start with a picture that was taken last year. Picture of your president, Ravi, and myself at the occasion of the first FIVA General Committee meeting last year in India. I hope you can see the picture.
Yeah, we can.
Okay. It was a very memorable trip to India for me. And having survived in Indian traffic in a precious Jaguar E-Type, I think I can drive anywhere in the world now. Senior Vice President Business Development, what does that mean? It's about business relation, which means cooperation with professional entities. And how did this come about? The historic vehicle scene, which 30 years ago was a bunch of few enthusiasts, has long become a sizable business worldwide. Industrial and commercial companies have discovered opportunities and are strongly engaged in serving the needs of the scene with their products and services. So 5 years ago, FIVA has decided to open up and actively seek cooperation with the professional stakeholders of the scene, mainly for two reasons. Number one, we share the objective to promote the historic vehicle movement. The industry, car manufacturers, parts suppliers, event organizers, insurers, museums, they have become strong players in the market with big economic power. So it absolutely makes sense for FIVA to join forces in general and in individual projects in order to increase our weight and voice. Second reason, the task to protect, preserve, and promote motoring heritage is a growing challenge. Political, environmental, and social restrictions require permanent attention. FIVA is taking on the challenge, but our traditional sources of income from membership and ID card fees are not sufficient anymore to cover the related expenses. The professionals' fees close the gap, allowing us to commission important and expensive projects like the 2020 Socio-Economic Survey. Our professionals program has successfully developed with meanwhile 4 global partners and over 40 professional members. On our website, you can find them all with a link to their own website. If you click, for instance, the Pirelli logo, you can embark on a virtual tour of Pirelli Foundation, highlighting the company's heritage and related activities. Or you can get an overview of Pirelli's product range for historic vehicles. Or you can learn about tire technology. Pirelli is just a perfect example of close cooperation, supporting each other's activities. We are always looking for professional companies who care about motoring heritage and see the value of FIVA's work. With the GD Car Museum, there is already 1 Indian professional member, and maybe you can help us to motivate others to join as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mario. Thank you very much for your presence and for your advice and for your insight of FIVA. In fact, the Managing Director of GD Museum, Mr. Rajkumar, is also going to address us how he has joined with FHVI and how he wants to be part of FIVA in a much more organized way. He's going to come later. Now I request Mr. Malcolm Grubb, the Vice President of Events, FIVA, to address us. Mr. Malcolm.
Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can hear me. Okay?
Yeah. Yep.
Good. Thank you. Well, can I give my personal welcome to FHVI as well? I really look forward to working with you guys and putting India on the map for us in terms of events, and also looking for a steward from India in due course. So to recap on some of the things you've already heard today, FIVA does protect, preserve and promote. The Events Commission, which I'm the Vice President for, is basically part of the promotional side. And we promote cars, motorcycles and utilitarian vehicles. A lot of people think it's just cars. It's not. We are agnostic in terms of all of those. And we feel it's better to see these vehicles in motion, so you can see, hear and smell them, rather than just look at them in museums. And that's where we come in to help organisers put together events of a high quality. Certainly for our international events, we would always have a steward. These are licensed FIVA stewards. We would have them present at the event, checking that everything runs as it should do, so they maintain their standard. That's one aspect of it. Now, what sort of events do we put on? Well, we do static shows, things like exhibitions and typically concours d'elegance. Again, they're across the board, from very, very small events to top class international events. We also do driving events. Now, this is more car based at the moment, but also motorcycles. We do non-competitive events such as touring assemblies, scenic drives. They tend to be very popular. We do competitive events, but we are limited by FIA regulations to be under 80 kilometers an hour. I can go through, I'll show you where to find the details of this later on. And we also run every year FIVA World events. And the World event is for cars, and the World event for motorcycles, and the World event for utilitarian vehicles. So again, they all get the same level of respect and support from us. Some of our events are actually a mixture of the above. They can be a concourse and a scenic tour, and they can have a static show. It's down to what the organizer actually wants to put on and where. We also, and it will come up when Paul talks later on, we promote the FIVA ID card. We encourage every organizer to ask members to present with a FIVA ID card, but we do not mandate it because there's not enough FIVA ID cards around to actually fill events on their own merit, maybe apart from the Mille Miglia. We have stewards, as I've mentioned, and we have 40 stewards globally. They are licensed by FIVA. We have a training session for them every 2 years to make sure they're current with all the latest information. And we're also looking at youth. We're looking to bring in events now which are for young timers, and these are vehicles that are between 20 and 30 years old and that are perceived to be future classics. Again, different people of different ages like different types of vehicles, and we're trying to bring them on board from whatever their passion is. Everything I've mentioned so far is actually on our website, and I'd like to refer you to our website for the Events Commission side of it. We have documents, we have, I'll hold up a couple here for you to see. We have the Events Commission guidebook. We also have a document specifically for stewards, and we have documents, rules and regulations for each type of event, so that before you put an event on, you should read those and see what we expect of the organizer. I think probably that's all I need to say at the moment. I'm sure there'll be questions later on, but we look forward to working with you, and hopefully I'll be in India before too long and come and meet you. Goodbye for now.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Malcolm. Now I request Mr. Paul Roveridge to say a few words on FIVA ID cards and the technical aspect. Mr. Paul. We can't hear you. Shovik?
Is that going? Is that better?
Yeah, it's better.
Okay, right, we'll start again then. Very welcome to join FIVA. It's been a long time coming, but you're very welcome. We look forward to working with you. The FIVA ID cards have been around for virtually as long as FIVA have, but they were primarily on a paper format, which was handwritten. Obviously, with that sort of setup, there was problems and with storing the information. We had to rely on the ANFs to send that in and various other aspects of it. And in fairness, it wouldn't last up until now, where we're into the modern era of everything is digital. Things need to be stored securely, and they also need to be able to be retrieved quickly so that people can get information off it. The online ID card system has been running now for over 2 to 3 years. There's a number of countries running it, actively running it. There are others who are joining the system to make the transition from the paper-filled application to the electronic one. The electronic system is securely stored via a company in Belgium, and that is up to the latest European standards, our GDPR, and I've no doubt that you have got security standards in your country for personal information. The rollout of the system is ongoing. We have set a date for when the paper-filled card will no longer be available. As you can appreciate, some countries are interested in taking it on and actually making the transition. Other countries are not quite so keen. They still like to use the pen and paper, but that can't go on forever. It will have to change over to the online system, and that's what we're striving to achieve. We look very forward to working with you and your country. You know, there is a serious amount of motoring heritage there that needs accurately recording, and I'm sure you and your associates are the people to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Paul. I think we will follow up, and we will start getting trained by you to issue FIVA ID cards, and we'll start documenting all our historic vehicles in India. I do know India has got a great amount of historic vehicles, which fortunately most of them, a few of them are still there. Most of them have been exported out, but still there are people now who are bringing back the Indian heritage back. And I think your documentation, your ID cards would really help to put Indian historic vehicle in order. Thank you, Mr. Paul. I request Mr. Yos, the very important man in FIVA, the man who handles the finance, to address us and also to tell us how do we make money. Mr. Yos.
Well, making money is always a challenge, and I've seen already some questions in the questions and answer section that I already replied to, but I'm happy to go further into detail later on. Fortunately, FIVA is in a very good position, mainly due to the efforts that Mario Thijssen has made over the last few years and his extensive network of professionals in the industry. FIVA, even in these challenging times of COVID, could carry on for at least 4 or 5 years on the current expenses because we have a healthy bank account and we have a growing list of professional members and global partners. So financially we are very safe, and I'm happy to say that we've been able to maintain on the same membership fees over the last couple of years. So stable. FIVA ID card events are a source of income, but they're certainly not the major source of income. It's about 50-50 between member fees and our professional members. And as I said, we are financially very healthy and stable, and we can continue even if something very dramatic could result out of all these COVID issues that we have currently. Although we don't expect that, we see an increasing interest in clubs and professionalism in the historic vehicle scene. I think that sums it up as far as the financials are concerned. And as a parting word, although I'm not actually leaving the meeting, I greatly regret having not been in India last year, but I hope we can redo the event in the near future.
Thank you, Yos. We all look forward to having you all for the General Assembly 2021. Thank you. And I request now our own friend and who is the Vice President Communications and who has been a great source to let us know what's happening around the world, Gautam Sen.
Good evening, friends. Good evening and good afternoon to everybody. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So good evening to all of you, and to, of course, start off by saying that I could probably address this I should be addressing this in maybe an Indian language, in Bengali, or in Hindi, or in Kannada to all of you, just to trouble the fellow General Council members, but I won't. It'll be in English. What I will do is to make a quick little presentation of what communication's about, and I'm just going to get that going. Yeah. So we have FIVA, and how do we communicate? And the fact is that till 2015, FIVA was essentially a club of clubs, and it was rather Eurocentric. In 2015, things changed. Up to 2015, FIVA was quite inward-looking, and was not, let's say, reaching out to the rest of the world. In 2015, FIVA changed its statutes and became a much more open and professional organization. For this, communication needed to play an important part, to be able to communicate to the rest of the world what we were doing, what we were and what we are all about. And thus a post of Vice President Communication was established, was created in 2015, and that's when I joined. And we also became professional in our approach. And in the process, we engaged a professional, Caris Whitcomb, who does editing and who takes the trouble of releasing the press releases. Since 2016, we have released 66 press releases so far, or more than 15 every year. And the press releases have been about events, about given at events, and about position papers and matters like that. Communication is also about disseminating information and interacting with our members, with the ANFs, and with the professional members. But the most important thing is that we also believe that FIVA should have an important social media presence, which is what we are working towards. And so we are here to listen to you. We are here to communicate in both directions. The idea is to be able to communicate to you and from you to us, and that's part of the activities. So we are working on the fact that communication is an important aspect, and to that extent, what we are also doing is making sure that communication is going to everybody. It's reaching out at all the at different levels. The point remains is that our interaction with the ANFs and with the members of the ANFs in terms of the clubs, etc., has always been, we do believe that there is a scope for improvement. So we would like a lot more, let's say, information and everything from your end, and at the same time, whatever we send to you, whether it's ANF or to certain members, it should be disseminated and sent across such that everybody who is today involved with the historic vehicle movement in India should have all information as to what has been happening, what are we doing, what are the best practices that FIVA is following in different parts of the world. As a summary, I must say that the amount of, let's say, support that I've had from many of you in India has been really been impressive, been excellent, and that's probably the reason why there is a complaint now in the General Commission of Council of FIVA saying that there's too much of Indian material being shown around. So we have to, well, balance that out. We have to have material from the rest of the world, which we are trying to get, and we are trying to make. But I must say that, but please keep sending material, please keep sending stuff, and please keep the avenues of communication open to both sides. Right. Thank you. And at the same time, let me take this opportunity to, of course, congratulate Dr. Ravi Prakash and his team, and Rupali, Sabina, and the rest of the team of FHVI and the entire historic vehicle movement in India. Hopefully, we will have everybody finally coming together to really take this movement to a level, because our country has one of the most extraordinary automotive histories, and we really need to preserve that. We have to make sure not just vehicles more than 50 years, but vehicles more than 30 years ought to be preserved. And even more recent vehicles, we have to preserve our own history, including our own vehicles, the vehicles made in India, the ambassadors and the Fiats and the Royal Enfields of the world. And the fact of the matter remains that the Indian brands, that the Indian companies are going and buying BSA and Norton and reviving Java and making, such a, and the fact that Tata has saved Jaguar Land Rover, I think a very important fact. It's part of automotive history that India's industry itself is very much involved with, that we need to preserve and save, and to let the government and the rest of the people know that it's an important part of not just our culture and our history, but an important part of our industrial heritage and future for the matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Gautam. I think we put everybody together and we move, and I think we need to preserve the Indian automotive history. And you've been great support, especially into the journalism and this movement. And we look forward for your help much more into developing this great passion. Thank you, Gautam.
Thank you.
I request Mr. Rajkumar, who's the Managing Director of GD Museum and GD Institute and GD Technologies, who are also the licensees to build the Mercedes 1886 patent wagon and the 1900 Ford. Rajkumar, welcome. And I would like, because we have also joined up with Rajkumar and his father. They've been very great help to the Federation. And I request Rajkumar to say a few words. Rajkumar.
So good evening, Doc. And good evening to all the panelists. And I hope you're able to listen to me.
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening to all the panelists and all the members listening to this event. At the outset, I would like to thank Doc for putting this together. And I would just like to share whatever bit we are trying to do. My father started working on this project for the car museum as history of automobiles, starting from the first car, going on to the latest cars which have come into the market, and country-wise as well as history of technology. So we started manufacturing the Mercedes patent wagon, which was the first automobile of the world, and we sell these cars to car collectors all over the world, and also the Ford quadricycle. And as part of this car museum, we also started a car restoration workshop. And in this workshop, with the help of our friend Mr. C.S. Anand from Chennai, we have restored many cars. And Mr. Anand and my father were working on a project to also do an automobile course on old car restoration. We already had an automobile course which was a 3-month automobile mechanic course based on the German system, which was started by my grandfather, where we have 70% practicals and 30% theory. And within 3 months, basic mechanical stuff is being taught to the young students who are just 10th pass in school or 12th pass in school. And unfortunately, even though Volkswagen supported us on this project, since there was lack of interest, we had to shut down this particular institute. But now we have another plan. And the plan is, unless we get youngsters to see what happens on these cars, how they work on these cars, they are not going to get interested into it. So what we are planning to do is, as part of the museum guided tour of the museum, we want to take them into the workshop, which is right behind the museum, the automobile course which was being conducted. And the young people who come in, as they walk through the museum, they go into the workshop and see things live. How the cars are being restored, they can view it from a distance and walk out. It's like a factory inside the museum. This is one of our plans, what we have for the future. And we are also doing our bit, like we have a Hispano Suiza where we developed the engine block. The engine block was completely corroded. We developed it in a foundry in our city and machined it and got the car to run. We also have done our bit for some friends in Bombay who had a Rolls Royce. We developed the entire cylinder head. And for vintage cars, getting these kind of parts is going to be very, very tough. So we are doing our bit to see how we can restore old cars, not only in our place, what's in our museum. We're also trying to do this for other people all over the world. And I hope the biggest question is, do we invest further into this training for young people, or would it take off? Will there be a demand? These are the questions which, Doc and ourselves, we need to discuss. Doc has come and spoken this to my father already once, and Mr. Anand and my father have been speaking for quite a long time. So this is something which is a big question mark. But I think with this kind of a movement, what I see, I'm taking part for the first time in this kind of a meeting, and I can see the enthusiasm with all the big people, big names involved in the heritage car field. I think we can take this forward and maybe also multiply it in other countries. So with these words, I would like to thank Doc for organizing this whole event, and wish everyone a good evening after this event is over. Thank you.
Thank you, Rajkumar. In fact, Coimbatore is known as the industrial hub in India, and they would manufacture, they would replicate anything. If any of the FIVA members, Rajkumar, I would like to put this, like he said, they've built a new engine, they built a cylinder head, and they would build anything. So if there's anything that FIVA would like to help the historic collectors, Coimbatore and Rajkumar are there, and we have quite a few other friends also in Coimbatore who all have foundries and industries and all, which Rajkumar can liaison with us, and they themselves have a huge setup, which itself is an experience. And I would like things to move on, and then so that historic vehicle collectors would get their parts, would get their mechanicals and things like that. Thank you, Rajkumar, for being with us. Thank you. We have a last speaker for the day, Mr. Suleiman Jamal, who is the president of Karnataka Vintage and Classic Car Club, who I was also the secretary in the past. Mr. Jamal, please say a few words to us.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me? If you can, just say okay, and I'll take off from there.
Yeah.
So anyway, this is a great pleasure, Doc. First things first, congratulations to you. I know this has been a dream of yours, and you've been working tirelessly at it. And in saying that, I have to say that you took this forward very correctly. It was the beginning when we got to meet with the overseas clubs, FIVA to be mentioned especially, and when the relationship started. And I personally believe in life, everything moves when you build relationships. Good relationships takes you miles, more than anything else. So we had the pleasure of being there with Doc at the 50th anniversary of FIVA when we drove through Paris. And I think it was Mr. Patrick Roulet who talked about the challenges. And I tell you, it was a challenge. I was driving Doc's Rolls Royce, and I had Anand, and we had a lot of people sitting in the cars with us. And it went like a breeze. But what happened at that meeting was nobody realized, but there was a huge, huge bridge that was built between FIVA and India, and today FIVA and FHVI. And as Doc mentioned, I've had the pleasure of having Doc work with me as a secretary for many, many years. 20 years, I think, Doc may be right, maybe more. So as a leader, Doc has honestly put all his heart and soul into it. This got nothing to do with number of cars. It is a question of passion. At the end of the day, this club is a hobby club, and we should never forget that. Being a hobby club, we have to work in unison. And I think Mr. Bresters put it very correctly. There is no competition over here. It's nothing to do with what kind of car you have. This morning, Doc and I were talking. You have one car. It's an emotional attachment to the car, belonging to the parents, grandparents. You got it. That is your love. That is the car you have, and you need to nurture it. It's brilliant that, Doc brought in Rajkumar, who is a very dear friend, a family friend of ours. And, I belong to Coimbatore originally, though I live in Bangalore now. So we have come miles. And now that this bridge has been cemented and built, I think coming together is going to be the key. India has a lot of heritage. Gautam mentioned that, everybody knows. And I'm so happy that the FIVA team was here visiting Bangalore. So, there's very little that is unsaid, very little that's unknown. Everyone knows we come together. Being a member of FIVA, being a member of FHVI, there's no caste, creed, no nothing. We are all one. It's like, I would say, like, when you are singing in a choir in a church or something, everybody sings in unison, everybody sings as a team. And that is going to be the key, taking FHVI forward. We got a great team. India has tremendous talent and a lot of enthusiastic, very, very enthusiastic members. And I personally have a lot of faith that this is just the beginning. And hopefully, like even Ramni was saying, in a very short time. But where did we meet Ramni? We met them at that FIVA occasion. It was just a chance meeting, and then life took off from there. Today, we are all one big family. And as long as we remember that, respect the values of anybody, take in suggestions, I think we have a great journey ahead. Unfortunately, these times of this COVID, wears very little. But you'll be surprised, I for one can tell you, that it gave me a chance to go and literally put my head under the hood and look at my cars and say, hey, listen, what's happening here? You have a lovely conversation. You start working on them. So there's a lot to be done. Doc's taking over the position of an ANF. We talked about it. It's a great responsibility. It's a great accountability. And I have no doubts that Doc is committed. I mean, that guy gets something done. He won't sleep till he gets it done. I should know it because we work together on many of these projects. So congratulations, Doc. Good job. And on behalf of KVCC, which is one of the older clubs in the country, we have 300 members. On behalf of my committee members, my team, my members, you have all of us, you know, cheering you on, Doc. Good luck with the journey ahead. And we're all standing by to see you through on this beautiful journey that you have started. So thank you, Doc. Thank you, Patrick. It was lovely to see you. I always used to say Patrick should be in the movies. You know, if somebody saw his picture and said, who's that movie star? I said, are you talking about me or Patrick? They said, are we talking about the gentleman? Patrick is there with you. So it was great. Mr. Bresters, I think you made a beautiful decision and choice in picking, and mainly is the clarity. I think somebody mentioned it. There's no ambiguity, and I can assure you on behalf of my club and on behalf of all our members in the country, we are going to join hands together and make FIVA very, very proud. So thank you for this occasion to talk to all of you. Good luck to you. Stay safe and all the best to all your families. Thank you, Doc.
Thank you, Mr. Suleiman Jamal. We've been together for over 2 decades, and then we continue to, you know, work together in Bangalore. Before I conclude to get to question and answer, your counterpart with us, Mr. SVS Gupta, SV Subramaniam Gupta, who's a dear friend. He's our treasurer of the Federation, and he's been a great source. He himself is an automobile enthusiast. He runs a lot of automobile businesses. So I request Mr. SVS Gupta to say a few words, and after which we will have Q&A for some time. Mr. Gupta.
Good evening, good afternoon.
Shovik, can you get Mr. Gupta on the screen?
Hello, good evening and good afternoon. Good evening, Doctor. President of FIVA, past President of FIVA. We're thankful. FHVI is a big responsibility. India is a historic country. Lot of history. We have snow, desert, fresh air, plantations, so, and a lot of palaces. So from FHVI, we have conducted 2-3 rounds of last year. We went to Rajasthan. This year we went to Gujarat. It was excellent. So history we see in our historic cars. So this passion is very good. All thanks to doctor and family. They have planned, executed too good. Now in October, doctor was, if not for COVID, I think we are planning Hampi tour. Am I right, doctor?
Yeah.
So we are eager for every trip. So our passion cars, we are seeing those cars in motion, going to the historic places. It's excellent being under doctor and his work. So thank you, everybody, all the panelists. Thank you. It's a great passion to be in cars.
Thank you,
Doctor.
Thank you, Mr. Gupta. Thank you. Prithvi, can we get into question and answers quickly?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon and good evening to everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, we can't hear you clearly.
Okay, now? How's that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Our first question has to do with the FIVA ID cards. There are actually a number of questions on the FIVA ID cards, as in how they're issued, what the process is, how members in India can apply, do they have to apply to FHVI, and questions regarding the scrutineers and charges for the FIVA ID cards.
Hello, I've sent some information to Dr. Ravi yesterday, which was an outline of how it works. I'll send you some more information, which is on a PowerPoint presentation and shows you the process of the application form. we need to set up a hierarchy and people who are doing key positions within your ANF. That is the actual secretary who handles it, then a technical administrator, and then scrutineers after that. But it would be most likely an advantage if we had a teleconference at some point to suit you, and I can take you through the system. Okay.
Sure. I think we'll organize a technical team, and then we'll probably have another webinar so that we could all get sort of accustomed, because next few months I don't think we would be able to travel across, but definitely we can spend some time learning how the process is and how we need to go about. Paul, I think your contribution towards teaching us and making us know how we need to go about would be a great job. And then we would definitely abide by how we need to do, and we will definitely put all our cars on the world site. Thank you, Paul.
Okay.
Prithvi, any more questions?
Yes, we have another couple of questions to do with similar things. So the question is that there are a lot of restrictions and difficulties in sourcing parts from abroad. Like customs duty is now very high. So can FIVA and FHVI help in any way, help collectors in any way about import of parts into India?
Anybody from FIVA can take this question?
I can give a short first answer on that, especially for the customs issue, which is basically, of course, a legislation issue. Yeah, first of course, we need to understand what the situation is, and then we can see in how far the situation is different from the situation we know in other countries. And that's what FIVA is all about. It's about exchanging experience, exchanging expertise. So we certainly can help, but of course there's a role for the ANF in this respect as well, in their contacts with authorities to understand the situation, to improve the situation. For the parts as such, of course, yeah, that's an issue that's different for each different car or motorcycle. But in fact, in FIVA itself, one of our global partners could be helpful in this, which is one of our global partners, Classic Parts for You. At least they can act as a kind of intermediary platform to try to find the parts that people are looking for. It doesn't maybe a solution for all cases, but at least it could be the beginning of the search that many people have to do for getting the right parts. So certainly there is a contribution we can do as FIVA.
Thank you, Mr. Tiddo. As far as the customs is concerned, we have already been working with Ministry of Finance, Government of India. I think once this lockdown is over, then we need to sit down, because sometimes explaining over emails and things like that may not really work. So personal appearance with them and trying to convince what we need to do, because most of the time we have problems when we import used parts, and also for the new parts the taxes are a little more, but I think it's all in the process, and the Federation will definitely do its bit to help the historic collectors for the spare parts. Prithvi, any more?
Yes, we have two last questions. So this one is for FIVA and FHVI. There are rumors circulating that the FIVA ID cards that are going to be introduced are going to be mandatory, and FIVA is under some financial distress, and these ID cards are going to be used by FIVA through FHVI to raise money for FIVA. Is there any truth to these rumors?
Let me respond to that. I've seen a similar question online in the Q&A, and my reply was, and still is certifiable, that if we had zero income in the next 4 to 5 years, we can continue spending the amounts of money that we have been spending over the last couple of years. Our bank account is very healthy, and if you look at the spread between income, then about 50% is from the membership fees, and the majority of that is from 2.5 million members over the whole world. So that's 50%. The other 50% is made up roughly 40% in sponsors and global partners that are very important to us, that gives us a link into the industry, and the remaining 10% is FIVA ID cards and events. So if there are any rumors in the Indian subcontinent that we made this change in India out of financial reasons, that's absolutely untrue. The main reason, and although it's not a financial thing, is that we're looking for a more active approach in the Indian subcontinent to accommodate the members, and as Ravi just said, lobby with the authorities and the legislative people in order to make it easier for the members to obtain parts and get rid of those apparently very high import duties on these parts. That's one of the main issues. Certainly not a financial thing has been considered here.
Thank you, Jos. Prithvi, any more?
Yes, this question is actually for Mr. Rajkumar and the GD Naidu Museum. Maybe Mr. Rajkumar, you can respond in detail later to Anirudh Kasliwal. He's just asked if you can share details of the museum and the 3-month workshop course.
I will get connected with Anirudh and Rajkumar so that they could take it further. And also we are also planning a couple of other courses with the help of FIVA and the other people out in the UK, and we will also keep all those things posted to Anirudh.
Right. Thank you.
Anything more?
Yes. One more question. It's about judging standards in India. This is actually just to elaborate to FIVA panelists. Judging in Concourse the Elegances in India. How can FIVA and FHVI help improving judging standards in India? Doc, would you like to take that?
Anybody from FIVA could, because they already have stewards. They already have stewards and who are already they're helping, world over, judging the vehicles and things like that. FHVI initially, we were not really looking at having any Concourse d'Elegance because we want everybody to participate with their cards, and we don't want to point out at them that this is wrong, that is wrong, because for everybody it takes time. First and foremost, we want the cars to come out of their garages and start participating, coming out into public and taking part in the events. So that is our primary concern. But now, as the Katia Concourse is also being pulled out of India, we don't have many Concourse that would be happening. But definitely, the Federation will work with all the other friends in India, and we will also work with FIVA probably in the days to come. If we get one of the good brand sponsors, and with the Ministry of Tourism, which we are already working with, probably we could have a Concourse event, and then which FIVA will definitely help with the judges because they have panel of judges and stewards which they will be able to share. Am I right, Mr. Tiddo Brester?
You're right. Basically, of course, there's also a question for Malcolm. So maybe Malcolm would like to add something about this subject. Indeed, I think there's a role for an ANF to look after the quality of events where judging plays a role. But as far as as far as I know, we don't have any FIVA standards as such for judging. But maybe Malcolm would like to add some few words on this issue as well.
Okay. Thanks very much indeed, Tiddo. Yes, we have 40 stewards, as I mentioned. They have different capabilities, different expertises. We do have some that specialise in concourse. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, good. I wasn't sure. Okay, yeah, we have different stewards for different types of events, and we do have a judging form that we use, which was originally developed in the USA, and that's our template. That's actually one of our documents that people can look at or download from the website. So yes, we are geared up to do concourse and all of the other types of events we've already mentioned. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Malcolm. Is there any other friend who would like to come on line? If somebody wants to speak, probably I could allow 2 more speakers from the Indian fraternity for 2 minutes. Prithvi, is there anybody? Shovik, is there anybody who wants to speak? I believe Shahrukh Kasad wants to speak.
I think Harit Trivedi was.
Yeah, you get Harit and Shahrukh on the line for 2 minutes, because we are also running out of time.
Yes. We can't see Harit, but I think we can hear you, Harit.
Hey. I
Harit,
can't.
you have become invisible, Harit.
Yes, not my fault. I'm not holding the panel. Okay, guys, it was a very interesting thing to, a very interesting session to hear the ideas, get them reinforced. And now I think we have a lot of hard work ahead of us to, the most important hard work is, of course, the legislation aspect. And I think that can only, of course, be taken forward after the COVID and travel bans are over, or at least reduced. So it's great that we have such a big fraternity worldwide, reaching across the world. And I always found anywhere in the world I travel, if I talk to people about cars, sometimes workers put aside and that goes on. It's a passion which is really a uniting universal passion, and we must maintain it and keep it and go forward in India like that. And we have seen the signs. We are on the right path. That's all what I have to say. Let's see what happens further. Okay.
Thank you, Harit. Thank you very much. Shahrukh,
Thanks.
can you, Shovik, can you get Shahrukh on?
I can't. Hello.
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 Yeah, Shahrukh.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. I just wanted to ask, will there be a national policy for vintage vehicles in India? And can a person staying in, say, Bangalore own a vintage car in Delhi, or he'll have to register it in his place of residence only and pay taxes in Bangalore, or the local Karnataka tax? That's what I want to ask.
Shahrukh, that we've been working on it. There will be one national policy. You can get your car registered anywhere. And we have also asked the government that you need to only do a change of address. Whichever place that you are staying in, you will need to have a change of address, because if something happens to your car, and if you're driving your car in Nagpur, and if the car is registered in Bangalore, then people also have to go back up and down to check on that. So the car can be registered in Bangalore, but it needs a change of address to your local city where the car is going to be. So all those national policies will come up and will all be figured out once the lockdown is over, and things will all happen.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Shahrukh.
Thank you.
And last, Mr. Parthosadan Bose and his son, Billy Bose. Partho is also the Vice President of FHVI. They wanted to come online. Can you get them on the screen, Shovik?
Yes, Ravi, I'm on the screen. I'm on the screen, Ravi. Can everybody hear?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. Thank you, Ravi, for bringing the entire world vintage enthusiasts together. It was a pleasure talking to them and making our vintage car life easy to restore them and maintain them. I must thank you, and I would like to thank Gautam for showing Indian cars to our foreign friends, that what are the things we possess, few of them, but I'm sure, Ravi, with your enthusiasm and our foreign friends together, we could develop this unit in this club, this enthusiast club, further in future. Thank you very much, Ravi. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Partho. Thank you very much. Anybody else?
Yes, I would like to add something, if possible.
Yeah, please.
I've seen a lot of questions pass by, and it's been briefly mentioned about availability of spare parts, and also on the new group of cars that's being added now to the historic scene because they turn 30 years. I would like to, in the absence of Lars, tell you that we are planning a big survey, worldwide survey, for owners and cars and to investigate how the market looks like and what the market needs. Obviously, we hope a big participation from India, but that information is being fed back to our professional members and our global partners. And that will help them to form a strategy to make sure that classic car parts and motorcycle parts are available in the future also. I think that answers a couple of the smaller questions in the Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Anybody, anything more? Shovik, can you get access to Mr. Vikram Singh? He's the General Secretary of the Federation. I would ask him to give us a concluding vote of thanks. Vikram Singh?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, can we see Vikram Singh, Shovik?
Yeah, his video's off, Doc.
Can you put on your video, Vikram?
Can you hear me? Can you see me?
We can hear you. We can't see you. You need to put on your video.
How does that happen? Recording or what do I have to press?
Shovik, can you guide?
Yes, it's a start video. There's a button below somewhere.
Start video. Okay. How's it?
Nothing.
Still, we're not able to see you. You've become invisible.
Can you see me now?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Vikram is the General Secretary of the Federation. He is a little shy big brother for me. He always keeps telling me, you're the head. But yes, I do agree I'm the head, but he's the body. Without the body, the head won't move. So he's been the man who built up all the statues. He's been the person who has been instrumental in getting everybody together. And he's another great collector, great enthusiast, and he's everything for the Federation. Vikram, for you.
Ravi, such kind words, flattering. You're not good for my ego, or maybe too good for my ego. Okay, hello everyone, good evening, good afternoon, and it has been such a pleasure listening to all of you. It's indeed a huge privilege to be part of this meeting, and it's the first time for me to be doing something like this, and that too in such an important meeting and a historical meeting. It has been extremely enlightening and invigorating listening to members of FIVA, and I want to thank all the members who gave the presentations to what they do and give us such an important insight into FIVA, because it's such a big association that we are so happy and proud of. And it's so good to get to know what FIVA is all about. And personally for me as well, thank you for letting us know what a wonderful organization FIVA is and what wonderful work that is being done under your leadership. We do think very strongly that under your patronage and guidance, FHVI's association with you, we will be able to do a lot of wonderful things in India. This is indeed an honor for me to be giving this vote of thanks, and I want to thank Ravi for giving me this opportunity and this privilege, especially being present with such eminent people that I personally admire, that I've always seen them in pictures, and some of them I've met, but they are the people I admire for the sheer body of work and the contribution, the huge contribution they've made in the classic car movement, not just in India, but worldwide. There's just so much of contribution that so many good people and remarkable people that have made in India in various fields and various aspects related to the classic car movement in India. And I want to take this opportunity to thank them as well for all the work they've done with such dedication and hard work. It is difficult to explain that how much time and effort and selfless work that has been gone in to put forward the classic car movement to where it stands today. There are lots to do, but and with association with FIVA, other members of international bodies, we have much better idea today of what we are up against and what we have to do. But when you look back 10, 15, 20, 30 years, decades, when communication was difficult, when nobody knew what was happening in India, these people have done such huge and humongous work, and that it's difficult to explain. And I do want to take this opportunity to thank each one of them without naming them, because I may miss someone, but most people know who I'm talking about. And I thank you most sincerely for bringing us to this point. It has been all your hard work and dedication and selfless work over the years. I also want to take this opportunity to appeal to you that this is a time to come together. It is my humble plea that let's all get together. If we are together, our voices and our say will grow in geometric progression. Nobody will be able to ignore us. Not that we are ignored, but I'm saying we'll have so much more say and be so much more able to guide our destiny when we are together. So please, let's all get together, and not just for India, but I think internationally we have a huge role to play. India is well placed going forward. World is looking at us, and we can be an important participant in the world affairs in the classic car movement. We are in a number of other things, but that's one place where we can step in. And if we are together, we can change dramatically the face of the classic car movement in India. It will be a dramatic geometric progression in which this whole field will just translate into something spectacular if we are together. And without going much further to that, I want to go back and thank all of you people for bringing us to this position where today FIVA has given FHVI ANF status and become member of FIVA. It is because of all your hard work. Mr. Tiddo Bresters, thank you so much for being here in this meeting. We look forward to your leadership in such challenging and exceptional times. We are lucky to have you lead us at the end and to be at the helm of affairs in these troubling times. And we know we'll be on the other side much better than what we can imagine now. And we are lucky because you and with your wonderful team will take us across happily. I do want to thank each one of the FIVA members personally, humbly, and with all my respect, and from the bottom of my heart, for giving such sincere and honest words about what they do. The dedication, sincerity, and honesty with which they fulfill the responsibility that has been entrusted on them is absolutely remarkable, something for all of us to learn. And especially with this association and all those people who are now present here, your leadership and your position and what you're doing and the way you inspire all of us will motivate a lot of youngsters who are watching you today and take us to better days. I'm pretty sure about it. So thank you all the FIVA members. Particularly, I would like to thank Mr. Patrick Roullet, Mario Thiessen, Gautam Sen, Malcolm Grubb, Paul Loveridge. I believe he's not here, but if he's there,
he's already there.
Yours Tunes, Ms. Natasha, is she there? Thank you. Glenn Mario Muller. Thank you all of you for participating in this webinar with such enlightening presentation of what FIVA is all about. It does inspire us a lot, motivates us a lot, all of us as a group and as individuals, particularly the youngsters. Thank you so much for all your good words and for the comments and for the inspiring discussion. Brahmani and her team from Sri Lanka, my love and respect for you grows every time I see and hear from what you say. The unflinching and the graceful support that you have given FHVI is so touching. Thank you so much for always being there. Thank you. Of course, the young youthful team of Suvik, Prithinath Tagore, Rupali and Jayant. The energy, enthusiasm, and the passion and dedication you bring on the table for all the behind-the-scene work, without without being noticed, but one has done that bit when one was young, so that kind of work. So I do know what kind of work that goes in. Thank you so much. Your love and passion is so heartwarming. Thank you for all the hard work. My special thanks to two stalwarts and doyens of the classic car movement in India, Harit Trivedi and Mr. C.S. Anand. I want to especially thank you for so generously sharing the huge wealth of knowledge and experience that you both have. It is difficult to imagine how our archives would look without your contributions. Thank you so much for being here as well. With that, I'll end. But of course, and before that, I must thank Dr. Ravi Prakash and my colleagues at FHVI. Dr. Ravi Prakash, you continue to amaze me. Your passion, your dedication, your hard work. And I do feel that I need to discover some new words and vocabulary, at least in Indian. I am short of them. But you continue to lead us to bigger and better glory, and I have no doubt that under your leadership, and you will be able to reach out to pretty much everybody who's interested in the old car or classic cars in India, and get us all together and get an association and organization which truly represents every corner and every individual of India. And with that motivation, and I'm pretty confident, and having talked to you, that you are so motivated and so sincere in your pursuit to do that, to get India on a common platform, to be a collective and a singular force, that you do understand. And I'm sure with your persuasive and skills and your amicable and lovable and such sincere personality, you will be able to do that. And I wish you good luck for that. And I do thank you for giving me the opportunity to say these few words and to be present here. We hope you continue to lead us to greater glory. Thank you all the other members of FHVI for your continued support. You are a wonderful team, and I love every moment that I spend with you all. Thank you once again for listening to me, and thank you for all your contributions.
Thank you, Vikram. Thank you. So you heard Vikram, and you know what I spoke about Vikram. He just gave a word of thanks, but he was a motivational speaker. And that's how he motivates me to work. Thank you. Thank you, Vikram. Thank you very much, friends. Thank you, friends, Mr. Tiddo, Bresters, Patrick Roulet, everybody from the GC of FIVA and all the friends from FHVI. There's one little thing that I wanted to share. One of our very dear friends who was also patron of our federation, and he was also the president of the Goa Vintage and Classic Car Club. We lost him about 3 weeks back, Mr. Jitendra Deshprabhu. My condolence to his family and his friends who are also there on this panel today. Very nice man. He very enthusiastic and very enterprising. He was there in all our events. He was a great support. And today we don't have, but we have him in the spirits. My heartfelt condolences. And I once again thank each and everyone, all the youngsters, the FIVA members, everybody, for having this beautiful webinar. I think we have made an opening webinar, seminar in the historic vehicle movement. I think youngsters, please try and put up things together so that during this hard times of COVID, we could all connect and we could all exchange and we could all work together and make more meaningful historic vehicular movement across the globe. Thank you very much.
I just would like to add, Ravi, if you allow me a few words.
Sure, Mr. Tiddo.
A lot of words already have been said by Mr. Singh as well, and of course I support every word he says. I also am very grateful, of course, for all the friendly words in my direction and in the direction of people attending this webinar. But I also need to mention that FIVA is a team, and some other people also do a good job, which are not attending this session, but really contribute very much to FIVA's mission. I would like to mention Lars Kenhild, the Legislation Commission Chair, very important function and doing a very good job, and also the one who's going to direct the survey, socioeconomic survey that Jos already mentioned. Of course, John Alcantara, our membership director, is also has also played a very instrumental role for bringing FHVI to the status they have gained, and they have gained with good arguments. And we not only represent cars, we also represent motorcycles and utilitarian vehicles. So I also need to mention Palmino Poli and Roberto Zarzani, our commission chairs for the motorcycles and utilitarian vehicles. Yes, the world of historic vehicles is a very broad world. It includes in India, of course, the famous Maharaji vehicles, but it also includes vehicles like this. I hope you can see it. And I think this is also important to cherish. The ambassadors, the vehicles that were very instrumental for the mobility of a country, I think they also need to be cherished. So what I would like to say, an ANF, it needs to be inclusive. I think FHVI has everything in it to be an inclusive organization. And I really would like to wish you a lot of success on the journey that just started. We can consider this as a warming up, and I think the warming up, we won with a very good result. Now it's going for the real thing, the race for support, and the race for getting recognition in India, and the race for unity. And I think we really can trust all your efforts. Your commitment is enormous, and the energy that you have behind is also very impressive. And I think we can be very proud as FIVA to have a member like you. So I can say, of course, a lot of other nice words, but in view of the fact that we already have 2 hours of a very interesting, exciting session, I think I leave it with this and give back to Ravi. And thank you very much again for this wonderful initiative.
Thank you, friends. Thank you once again. Stay home, stay safe. We pray that everybody will get out of this pandemic and we'll get back to our historic cars with our families. And we are the one who would like, all the family, whether it's our spouses or children. I'm also grateful for my wife and my 2 daughters, Rupali and Shifali, Sabina, who've been a great help and a source of inspiration to me. And they also let me take my time off and work on the Federation. I wish all the members here would get all their families and we all start working toward historic vehicles as a family. Then it will grow, and not only it will grow, if the younger generation get involved, it will stay on for generations. Thank you and have a lovely evening. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Doc. I think today was a wonderful session, and I believe the foundation stone for the new age of the Indian historic movement has been laid today. And I'm looking forward to working with all of you in preserving, protecting, and promoting world motoring heritage. So thank you, everybody, and hope you have a classic day ahead. Thank you.